guys, my name is Ashley Cottle. I'm a high school ambassador for her campus, and for today's assignment, I'll be talking about how not to choose a college. And this is on the Her Campus website underneath the high school tab, and it is written by Sarah Kawach. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I tried for like 15 minutes to decide how I would say it, and that's what I decided on. So, fingers crossed that was right. But anyways, back to what the article is about. It pretty much discusses about 5 to 7, I want to say, reasons you should not go to a college. And some of those reasons I do really agree with. One of them being your boyfriend, best friend, or sister or brother goes to that school. And I have applied to 2 schools, and those are the only 2 schools that I want to go to. Both of them are in state, which is way cheaper, so go me. And at one school, my sister does go there, and at the others, some of my friends who graduated 2 years before me do go there. And at both schools, I do have friends, but that's not why I chose to go to that school. I looked into the statistics of the school, like the graduation rate and the retention rate, and I considered the tuition and fees. One of the schools is in the town that I live in, so I wouldn't have to pay for room and board. I would just go to school from my house, and that took about $4,000 or $5,000 out of the tuition and left it at like $11,000. So that is so incredibly cheap to go to that school, especially since it is a school that has high regards. But going to a school, if you do go to a school with your best friend, your boyfriend or girlfriend, or your sibling, it's not to look down upon, because, more power to you if you want to still stick with your sister or your brother and deal with their teasing of you being younger or being just a baby. More power to you. But those things should not be the main reason why you go to that school. You should seriously consider if the school has a good program for your intended major, if they have the programs that you want to be in. Like if you want to be in a sorority, do they have the sorority that you always plan on going and rushing for? Do they have a good study abroad program? Do they have a Her Campus program there? You never know. But you always have to consider those factors, because going to college, you are paying for those 4 years. Like, yes, you may get assistance from the government. Yes, your parents may be paying that. Or maybe you're even offered a full-ride scholarship, so you aren't paying out of pocket for it. But ultimately, it is your decision. You are spending those 4 years there. You are spending money to go to that school and get the skills needed to become a journalist, to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become anything that you wanted to be. So it is really important for you to consider the factors and maybe even the consequences of going to a school with somebody that you are really close to. Another thing to consider is going to a school of high regard. Some of my friends, or rather about 80% of my friends, have applied to Ivy League schools like Yale and Stanford and Brown. And good for them. They have the grades to get in there. They do have a lot of extracurriculars that they do. But that's just not my thing. You have to consider the expenses of going there. Half the time going to an Ivy League school means that you are going out of state and possibly even hundreds of thousands of miles away. So you have to consider the fact that you may not see your family all the time, that you may not be able to go home on Thanksgiving break, you may not be able to go home on spring break either. So you have to consider all of those things. And out-of-state tuition is like double, if not triple, the price of what in-state tuition is. So if you live in Massachusetts, where MIT is, MIT alone is probably around 30 to 40,000 in state. So if you're going out of state, double, maybe even triple that amount, and that's how much you would be paying for 1 year of education to go there. And I mean, I'm not downing anybody who does plan to go out of state, but you really have to consider the fact that you won't be able to see your family all the time. You won't be able to see your friends all the time. You won't be able to come home for homecoming, or you won't be able to come home and see some of your underclassmen friends graduate. Like, you have to consider all factors that go into it. Another thing that you have to consider is going to a school that has a good sports program. I mean, if you are an athlete and you are being recruited, then awesome. You go to that school that's recruiting you if they are offering you a scholarship. But if you aren't an athlete and you like football, like I love watching football, but I'm not going to go to, let's say, I'm not going to go to Chapel Hill in North Carolina just because they have a good football team. I'm not going to do that because I am paying to get the skills needed for me to become a journalist. I'm not paying to go see the football team. And while tailgating and going to those football games and the after parties is fun every once in a while, but that's not your job. That's not your occupation. You aren't paying to go to those games. You're paying to become a doctor. You're paying to become a filmmaker. So you have to consider that. And lastly, you have to at all costs consider the graduation and retention rate. I know the retention rate is pretty much just how much the students had retained in their either the first semester or their first year of being at that school. And if it's over 50% of the freshmen, then great. But if the school has a great football team, only 27% of their students retain the information that professors gave them, then what's that saying about the schools and the quality of those professors there? So yeah, those are just a few things that you should consider when applying to college, and not saying that you have to follow that, because I mean, college is your choice. What school you go to is your choice. So I can't tell you what school not to go to, and your parents shouldn't be able to tell you what school you can't go to. But the deciding factors should not be how good the soccer team is, and it shouldn't be if you're going with your sister or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about you, and it's about your future. So yeah, I hope some of the things that I have said in this video have helped you decide or clarify your decision of where you want to go if you have been accepted to schools. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!